Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, whether you in the world. It is your Lore Saviour, and 'tis the season to be spooky. As it's Halloween tomorrow, and I think it would be a rather nice idea for us to be playing some horror-themed TTRPGs with our friends, or by yourself, if you're a Billy No Mate, or you just can't meet up with your friends at this time. And for a lot of people, this is going to be under the guise of anything that Free League puts out, anything that White Wolf puts out, and anything that Chaosium puts out, primarily Call of Cthulhu. But I'm going to stretch the imagination a bit more, because I feel it's quite appropriate to be doing horror themes on Halloween, but not everybody likes horror. But I think some of the more accessible forms of horror out there are slasher films, and there is a whole plethora of TTRPGs out there that are slasher focused, and I've got 5 of the lucky bastards for you that you can play as or play against slashers and other killers in horror games. So starting off at number 1 comes from a big old fat company. In fact, it is White Wolf themselves, and here's Hunter the Vigil, because you play as hunters. Some of them have supernatural powers, some of them are just regular Joes armed with guns, knives, whatever shit that they have in their back pocket. But one of the things that makes this stand out, and why I'm including this on this list, despite the fact that I was kind of inferring that I wasn't going to include World of Darkness here, is that it would be remiss of me not to mention the Hunter the Vigil sourcebook Slasher. And in fact, in Hunter the Vigil, if your integrity goes down to 0, then you actually become a slasher. Not necessarily the sort of supernatural mask-wearing, knife-wielding son of a guns, but more a human that just kills for the thrill of it, a human that loses all their integrity and kills just needlessly and become a bit of a monster that way. But with Hunter the Vigil's sourcebook Slasher, you are able to turn some of those ideas into the more supernatural variant, and there's a whole list of different archetypes you can go through as well. I actually did a review of that book some time ago, as well as a little bit of coverage on the Hunter the Vigil sourcebook, and those are going to be cards appearing in the corner somewhere now, and cards at the end of the video, so keep watching to the very end to learn a bit more about those. But Hunter the Vigil is a really interesting game because, of course, you go out hunting after monsters, other people, and of course slashes, and uses the story path system, I believe it is, or whatever variant of the storyteller system that it adopts, because there's a whole host of them, as we'll talk about in just a moment. But the simple premise is that it's a D10 pooled system, so you take an attribute and a skill, add those numbers together, and then roll that many number of D10s, and you're generally looking for 8s and higher. 10s explode, which means that you keep rolling them until you don't roll it anymore, and they just add to the piles of successes. And there's a whole host of really cool creative things to make your slashes unique, to fill them with powers, strength, disciplines and flaws, and a whole host of really fun goodies to really make your monsters and your slashers really unique. And Hunter the Vigil is rather unique, especially with Slasher, because you can actually play as the Slash and have a campaign or chronicle, to use its in-game word for it, where everybody is a Slasher if you so wish, which would be very difficult to do, but it is possible. The next game on this list is related to the World of Darkness line of things, only through the fact that its developers, Onyx Path Publishing, have worked with them, and the next game I'm going to mention uses a similar D10 dice pool, only known now as the Story Path system, and that is They Came From Beyond the Grave, which by itself allows you to play like sort of Hammer horror and stuff of the 70s, and its art and its layout and its presentation sort of reflects the different advertising you would find during the time, and it's a very effective way of conveying the sort of nude and the atmosphere that you're wanting to play. Characters take on its various different archetypes that sort of match the sort of stereotypes of horror of that era. I would give you a list of them, but you can go and check out that book in your own leisure to find out more, or just read the preview page that it has on Driftwood. And one of the really unique things about this is that this can, unintentionally or otherwise, lean into more comedic affairs, because you have like powers and mechanics known as quips that essentially allows you to rewrite things as you're playing. So it's a very collaborative, open-ended sort of scenario. One of the things that could happen is that the reel of a film may go disappearing and just go missing, and you avoid a nasty death that way. You could fall through the set and move on to the next scene. Just sort of stuff like that. So it's really on the nose, tongue-in-cheek sort of things. But as I said, it allows for more comedic affairs, which is also rather nice, because even if you don't want to play it so comedically, those that want to try out horror TTRPG but don't know where to start, it's a nice little icebreaker, I everything that allows people to engage in this nice, unique horror without being traumatized and scared shitless. And as we're talking about slasher stuff specifically, it would be remiss of me not to mention as the accompanying sourcebook, They Came from Camp Murder Lake, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it allows you to incorporate some of those 70s and 80s slasher horror elements, which many would argue is like peak slasher material. And unlike the previous game that I mentioned, They Came from Beyond the Grave has 2 adventures in it already, so you don't have to do that much prep work for it. Well, as in creating your own setting, you can just take one of these 2 adventures, or both of them, and just run them from the get-go. And if you need even more, They Came from Camp Murder Lake has an adventure in of itself. So with those 2 books, you have 3 adventures just to get the ball rolling, and just play that for Halloween straight away, which is amazing shit, really. It would be nice that if more game books could have multiple adventures rather than just a short little one-shot, so this is really unique for that reason alone. Game number 3 is a little cheeky of me, I have to admit, because as of the recording of this, the 18th of August, yes really, 2025 in the year of our Lord Talos, the full product is not available yet, but if you sign up to its Kickstarter, you should be able to get a hold of some playtest materials and an actual scenario that you can run. So technically speaking, you can actually be playing this straight away, but hopefully by the end of this year, 2025, or the beginning of next year, 2026, you'll be able to get hold of the amazing product Chainsaw by Driftwood Archives, which is a Merkborg or Morkborg hack that really does focus a lot more on the horror of the genre, because Merkborg/Morkborg kind of tickles the nipples a little bit of the horror genre with its death metal aesthetic, but Chainsaw is the first that I feel really digs into the horror it's trying to take on board here. I mean, there's some others that do a different sort of thing with it, that presents horror just through this association of the Merkborgness, and there's a World War I focused one that has a unique horror vibe to it as well, but Chainsaw is the most unapologetically horror-filled one that I have seen thus far. And I've covered this game a lot already when I talked about it early this year or late last year, I don't exactly remember, but it's going to be on a card up there somewhere now for you to go and check out. But basically, like Merkborg, it's an OSR, which is an old school revival, renaissance sort of thing, which is basically mean it's old school D&D but with like modern sensibilities. It's a D20 system, you're looking for 12 and higher to gain successes, and then for damage it deals basically with every other fucking dice type other with D20. And I think this is a lot of fun. It is brutal, it's fast, and it has fear mechanics built into that, so when you encounter something weird or wacky, or you have that face-to-face encounter with the slasher, you have to do rolls to see if you can actually just hold it all fucking together, which is something, again, I don't see in a lot of other Morkborg hacks, and this is not in Morkborg proper itself, and because it is Merkborg connected, you can actually use this with Merkborg and other Merkborg scenarios, so there's a lot of compatibility that you could be using. And another reason why that I'm mentioning here, besides the fact that I absolutely love this and just really want this to do well, is that D&D is the most popular fucking TTRPG out there, and to many it is the only TTRPG out there. So if you want something that's D&D-like, and rather than trying to ham-fist other horror scenarios in your fantasy game that really doesn't work properly, Chainsaw is such an organic fit that I don't even know why that you're not doing this already. Game number 4 is the only one that's intended to be a solo experience, and that is Make Your Own Slasher by Pulse Video, with a slightly misleading title because you don't really play as the slasher by default, although you can play it in an alternative mode of play. But Make Your Own Slasher is sort of a choose your own adventure style of RPG with a little character sheets and maps, and you're able just to go through bit by bit. It's like, oh, if you failed this roll, turn to page such and such. I've done this a couple of times and I haven't been very successful so far, but it's honestly a lot of fun just to sit there with those little materials and like go through and see what you do to survive. It's fairly straightforward, there's not much more I can say about it, but if you want to play some TTRPGs but don't have anybody to play with and don't want to go through all the hassle coming up with Oracle tables, getting out your big copy of Mythic GM Emulator, etc. and so forth, you can get your hand on Pulse Video's game Make Your Own Slasher and just do a little thing by yourself and just see how well you can survive, collect some artifacts, and then unlock the mode where you play as the slasher going on the hunt themselves. Game number 5 is Final Girl by Gas Mask Games, and this one I thought was really interesting because as I was doing a bit of research for this, I've never heard of this game before, and reading on the concept and looking through the RPG itself, it actually sounds like a lot of fun. So the idea is that you don't decide things on dice rolls or with cards per se. It's very much a collaborative storytelling experience. You write down a list of characters in some index cards, you put them in a pile, shuffle them all about, and then everybody chooses the character, so you don't play the character that you necessarily create, and somebody plays the killer, which also serves as the GM's role. You play for a scene to begin with, and nobody kills anybody, there's just a bit of role playing. The killer then comes along, they then kill somebody, and then you pass all the characters around in a circle, which means that everybody is going to be playing as the killer, and everybody is going to be playing as the games master, and everybody is going to be playing as a different player, which means that everybody is going to be contributing to the story in some form or another. And there is some combat where you do use some cards to determine like who survives, who lives, but you can go and check out the game for yourself because it's absolutely free and on Drive-Thru RPG, so there's absolutely no reason for you to even just have a look at this awesome game. But the main reason why I like this is because of just how accessible that it is. Like, the game recommends that you use index cards to write people's names down, but you could honestly just write them all down on a bit of paper, tear everything up, and then just move everything around, because who doesn't have a bit of paper? Who's not going to have a pen? Who's not going to have a deck of cards somewhere, or like some fucking app that they can use on their phone? Like, this sort of is very much a party-like sort of scenario, I feel, at least with you sitting around with your friends and like passing all the things around, which can make it really fun and silly, as you all just have a bit of fun like killing each other off basically, and doing your utmost best to help each other survive. And you could get a scenario where, oh, I don't like this character because they are really shitty, the one I just bid, now I'm going to get them, and might just do something stupid and make sure that the killer gets hold of them. And I think that's just a lot of fun, like bouncing off of each other's ideas like that, and there's like no dedicated games master, that everybody is contributing to the development of the story, and you can create something that's really fun and awesome. And as I said, because there aren't like any dice involved, and it's just you writing shit down on a bunch of cards, this is so accessible, and again, it's absolutely free, though you can throw a bit of money towards the developers if you so wish, and I highly recommend that you do that so they're able to create really cool and short ideas like this. Now, I wouldn't be a content creator on YouTube doing a sort of list video without including a sneaky little bonus one for you, and I'm only including this one because it was just too fucking good not to include on the list, and anything that isn't 5, 10, etc. isn't very good for the algorithm, so lucky you're getting a free RPG in this video. And to that end, this one is totally free, there's no money involved with this anywhere, at least as far as I could see, and it's the shortest of the bunch either, and it's S.C.R.E.A.M, the Horror by Aurtakis, I believe is the company name or pronunciation. It's got a cute little bear on it. But this one is a 2-page RPG, which means that all the rules that you need are fitted on 2 sides of an A4 piece of paper, which makes it really accessible for those 2 reasons. And the idea is that one player becomes the killer, or the slasher, or the horror as the game calls it, but they also serve as the games master, which is similar to the previous game that we just talked about, but it's a bit of a back and forth between players. But this one is different because this one takes on a more usual TTRPG format. It is a 2d10 system, and you're looking for 13 and higher to get a success, and if players don't get that, then the killer, the horror, or the slasher makes a bit of that cheeky move, and they have like a whole set of d10 tables to roll upon, and for every player that's killed, a horror then takes their place. And the ways that players can avoid that by managing their hope meter, but as this is totally free, I'm going to let you go and read that at your own leisure. It's really straightforward, really aggressive, and I think with the more killers that come to the service can really intensify the horror here. And I think it'll be absolutely fun just seeing how all this comes about and how you can twist and mutate different characters so they become, well, real horrors, because this all leans in the more supernatural element of things. At least that was the impression that I got with how it was written and presented, but it very much feels like a slasher orientated one, so it would be rude of me not to mention this on this list somehow. And there we have it, 5 awesome slasher-focused TTRPGs, and one little bonus one for you to include in your TTRPG sessions and be running this Halloween season. Now, for many of us, Halloween is a year-long event. For many of us, it's a month-long event. But quite honestly, there is no reason why that you can't be playing any of these horror TTRPGs any time. There's no reason for you not to include a slasher. Fuck it, you could do something at fucking Christmas or Easter. Now, Easter would be really fucking funny, just because, I don't know, I just found that really entertaining. But the point is that you don't have to wait till Halloween to be playing these games, but as Halloween is coming up, at least as this video is being aired, there's no reason why you shouldn't give all these a go. Like, none of them are particularly expensive. 2 of these are free, and they're really easy to get into, and actually, come to think about it, most of these just use D10s, so there is absolutely no reason why you can't be playing these right now. But what do you think about these games? Are there any cool slasher-themed TTRPGs that I've missed? Have you played the ones that I've mentioned? If so, what are your thoughts on them? What have I missed? Let me know in the comments down below. I am, of course, going to be including links to all of these different games in the description below, most of which can be found on Driftwood. And as I am an affiliate on Driftwood, if you purchase the Driftwood books using those specific links, I get some of the money back because, as I said, I'm an affiliate there, and that sort of little coinage, as small as it is, helps to check the channel out immensely, and also helps you out to get some awesome books, which is great really, because as you get books, I get books, and you get amazing content for free. So it's really a win-win chicken dinner situation for you, and actually you're getting quite a lot of free content through this very video, so what a lucky day it is for you. Now, I can understand if you can't do any of that because you've got these books, but what happens if you want to support me financially all the same? Well, with Driftwood, you might see like a special affiliate code that you can copy and paste into the URL of any Driftwood purchase, and that helps out as well. But I also understand that you might not be able to do that because these are all fairly expensive, particularly the Onyx Path one that I mentioned. That was the more expensive end of things, because the whole posting and packaging thing can be a real pain in the nether regions, and it's just getting more and more difficult as a certain orange man is making things insufferable for everyone. So I understand if you can't do that, especially if you like to have the physical stuff, and the PDFs can be pretty expensive as well. So if you can do that, that's absolutely great, but if you can't do that, that's absolutely fine as well. So what you should definitely be doing regardless, however, is give the video a little cheeky little thumbs up, subscribe to the Lore by Night channel, and share this video with any and everyone who loves what I do. And I'll see you on the next upload, whatever that may will be for you. And until next time, and there will be a next time, farewell.